Yo, it's your boy Southside Geek 860 back with another video. Um, Here we got another video by M Enterprises. It is the concerns about Superman. The concerns about James Gunn's Batman. Okay.
Batman has been a cinematic staple for Warner Brothers and DC. Batman has been a cinematic staple for Warner Brothers and DC Comics for the past handful of decades. And regardless of whatever mess has transpired behind the scenes or the constant changing of executive leadership, there's always been a guarantee of a
Oh,
Batman movie releasing on the big screen. If you're going to craft a new interconnected DC universe that's in it for the long run, you gotta have a Batman that's a part of the universe's world building. It's just non-negotiable. The DCU announcement slate back in 2023 revealed that a new Batman movie was in development that, as of right now, is titled The Brave and the Bold, based on Grant Morrison's run on Batman and centers on Bruce Wayne coming into contact with his biological son, Damian Wayne. The movie will also incorporate the Bat family, as they have been left out of the silver screen for quite some time. In the few years that have passed since, there have been some concerns roaming around from fans on this new iteration of the character. Whether the director of choice is a good idea, Bruce potentially being too old, James Gunn's overall vision, all that good stuff. The most common voice of concern comes from the fact that the director of the Flash movie, Andy Muschietti, was announced to be directing The Brave and the Bold during the opening weekend of The Flash, with his sister Barbara Muschietti set to produce alongside James Gunn and Peter Safran. This might be a
I thought that was his wife.
controversial thing to say. I really don't think Andy Muschietti being the director will be as much of a disaster as people try to paint it out to be. Now, do I think he's the best choice? No, I think there are better directors out there that would be more than willing to tackle a Batman movie or have expressed interest in the past. He made some baffling creative decisions in that movie, most infamously the execution of cameos from previous cinematic and TV versions of DC characters. But some people over-exaggerate the outcome of Andy Muschietti tackling a Batman movie with the mentality that because the
Yeah,
Flash movie wasn't great, that
yeah,
automatically equates to The Brave and the Bold being a disaster.
yeah.
Let's not forget that the movie
That's so dumb, dude. That's so dumb. You gotta remember, Andy Muschietti, he also directed It 2017, It Chapter 2, and he's directed so far a couple episodes from It Welcome to Derry, the prequel series on HBO Max, which y'all should tap in and watch that. That shit is dope. Talk about that. I think the new episode came out today. So right now, we're recording on a Sunday and they come out Sundays. So yeah. But what's I saying about him? Oh, bro, dude, he's a great fucking director, dude. He's a great director. Right now, what he's doing with It Welcome to Derry, dude, directing on that shit is so like it's so fire, dude. The story, fire. Fire, fire, fire. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is like, dude, every director doesn't come out with the straight up bangers. I'm trying to say that every director has one at least. If they make 10 films, there's something at number 10. You know what I'm trying to say? But yeah, I'm not opposed to him directing it. I'm trying to say, even when it was announced during the release of the Flash, I was like, cool. That has nothing to do with his Batman movie. And plus, I'm pretty sure if anything, he learned with that movie. I'm trying to say. So yeah.
went through several directors, writers, and plot changes during the development process since the DCEU's conception. Warner Brothers at the time wanted to do some sort of interpretation of the Flashpoint storyline by Jeff Johns, as well as incorporate multiverse elements to use the film as a soft reset for the
Dude, 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 dude. In Batman versus Superman, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the not even I don't gotta keep going. Just right there. They had Jeffrey Dean Morgan played Thomas Wayne in the opening scenes of Batman versus Superman for Bruce Wayne's backstory. Dude, they could have if they wanted to do Flashpoint, they could have hired him, have him play Thomas Wayne's Batman from the Flashpoint. Had the actor that plays Cyborg come in, be the only hero in that universe, just well, like in that universe in Flashpoint. You know what I'm trying to say, dog? They had it right there. They could have brought Gal Gadot. I hope I'm saying her name right, and the Aquaman actor to play evil versions of themselves that are going to war from Flashpoint. I'm trying to say, if that was their final movie, they should have went all out, dude. Like, dude, That's crazy. I don't think that The Flash is a terrible movie, but dude, they had all the cards right there, dog. I'm pretty sure Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, um, Isaiah Fisher, right? That's his name. The actor that plays Cyborg, that played Cyborg in the DCEU. Dude, they could have, bro. I feel like they would have been down for that. Dude, that would have been so fire, dog. Oh, and they had Henry Cavill right there. They could have had a mad skinny player. Just read Flashpoint, dog. They had all the actors for the roles for those roles if they wanted to do a comic book accurate Flashpoint. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
DCEU. Most of the problems with The Flash can be
I'm
attributed
not
to
even
a
smoking
bad
the spliff. I'm
script
just
and bad
sparking it.
VFX. Those things would still
Smoking
be
itself.
present even if Andy Muschietti didn't direct. I mean, what are some of the most criticized elements of that movie? The VFX in specific moments is pretty terrible. A lot of people took issue with Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. The overall plot had a strange setup for how time travel and the multiverse work, with Barry Allen not even having learned his lesson by the end of the movie. And for me, I am not a fan of some of the costume designs in this movie. Some of these suits are butt ugly. But again, even if Andy Muschietti didn't direct, a lot of these problems would still exist. You'd still have the mess that was the DCEU, Ezra Miller would still be playing Barry Allen, the VFX still would have been atrocious if the artists weren't given an adequate time. Maybe some of the visual aspects might have been better, but it wouldn't have been enough to negate the issues with the storytelling. The Brave and the Bold honestly just needs a good script, a different costume designer, new cinematographer, and a really good fight choreographer, as just a few examples of what's needed for another DCU banger. Not to mention, a Batman movie, even with fantastical elements, wouldn't be nearly as VFX heavy as a movie like The Flash, which features multiple superpowered characters and multiverse elements. If you give Muschietti a solid production team, I think it'll be just fine. Who knows?
They better give Batman the white eyes. Please. Please. Look at Deadpool. Look at Wolverine. Now we can say that, which is so fire. Dude, you could do the white eyes, bro. Do the white eyes. Personally, I want the white eyes.
Maybe there's a possibility he'll no longer be on board in the future, so all of the complaints from people online would be null and void anyway. Although that's looking to be very unlikely to happen, I think good old Andy is here to stay. Plus he's more of a horror director, so a Batman movie would probably be a better representation of his creative process and vision as a director. The core of the story and the characterization of this new Batman are being curated by James Gunn and whoever the screenwriter is. Gunn's involvement in this movie differs from every other DCU project he isn't writing or directing. Excluding the projects he wrote or is currently working on, so Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, Man of Tomorrow, The Brave and the Bold is the movie he is most involved in due to having a specific vision for the DCU Batman.
Batman Brave and the Bold is one of those things. You know, we're working with a writer now, it's going really well, but I had a very specific idea about how it should go, and so I'm just very involved in the process of that film.
No,
I'm
what
happy to hear
matters
that.
is
I'm
like
happy
the
to hear that.
character, the story, and I think that we have a really, really good story now for what's happening with Batman.
Dude, I'm so stoked.
Many of the big decisions regarding this Batman's age, timeline, characterization, and role in the DCU are being crafted by Gunn and the writer of The Brave and the Bold. Things could still fall apart, but I have a hard time believing DC Studios has any desire to create a Batman who just aura farms and looks cool, with no substance to the story being told or lacking meaningful story beats that make you care about the character. Batman could have everything I've ever wanted from a
fuck was
visual
that?
meaningful story beats that make you care about the character. Batman could have everything I've ever wanted from a visual standpoint. A comic accurate Batsuit, fully decked out Batcave, expert martial artist, high-tech gadgets, all that cool stuff. But if I don't resonate with or care about this version, or any of the Bat family for that matter, then there really is no point. The DCU's objective from the jump has been to avoid the problem many superhero movies have faced over the past handful of years, prioritizing action and spectacle over making the audience care about the characters.
What's happened is people have gotten really lazy with their superhero stories. Oh, it's a superhero, let's make a movie about it. You know? And they aren't thinking about, why is this character important? What makes this story different that it fills a need for people in theaters to go see? Like, I'm watching third acts of superhero films where I really just don't, and I don't feel like there's a rhyme or reason to what's happening.
care.
I don't care about the
Speaking
characters.
facts.
Right. There's an opportunity to explore the relationship between Bruce Wayne and his sons, as well as his stance as a father figure, giving audiences emotional depth in a way that hasn't really been done before in live action. Bruce hasn't really been portrayed as a father figure on the big screen all that much, and many modern movies avoid showing him trying to raise a young Robin.
That nigga wasn't talking to me. I'm gonna let that be known right now. He was talking to y'all niggas.
His age was never explicitly stated, but Dick Grayson in the Joel Schumacher films was aged up to around college age, so it was less of a father-adoptive son kind of dynamic.
You were talking about being a family. I'm asking you, friend, partner, brother, will you trust me?
Dude, and it's
I
crazy.
already-
It's crazy because George Clooney on paper as Batman, it sounds like, oh shit, that sounds fire. Dude, my boy was just so like generic. Like, oh my god. Dude,
Talked about why Batman supposedly being significantly older than Superman is unlikely, considering how old he was by the time Damian was brought onto the scene, around his late 30s at the very oldest. But there's also another avenue to explore regarding how DC Studios is aiming to maintain that relative age gap amongst the members of the Trinity. Gunn talked about the situation with Batman's parentage being in flux, specifically how and when Bruce becomes an actual parent, which isn't surprising because there have been a couple of different explanations for Damian Wayne's conception in the source material, as well as for when Bruce encounters Ra's al Ghul, Talia, and the League of Assassins. The DCU timeline could have it so that he met Ra's a few years into his career, like in the Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams days, or perhaps they'd rather have Bruce train with the League of Assassins prior to becoming Batman, somewhat like his origins in Batman Begins and largely inspired by Batman the Night miniseries by Chip Zdarsky. The New 52 had it so that Damian went through accelerated aging, making him physically 10 years old, but he was actually around 6. I personally think it's simpler to have Bruce form a relationship with Talia at a younger age during his training in order to have Damian be around the age of 10 by the time he meets his father for the first time, rather than accelerate his aging. And it keeps Bruce at a reasonable age in modern day. I'd imagine Gunn wants an actor somewhat relative to David Cornsweet's age, which isn't too far-fetched considering Batman's actual age when he was introduced to Damian. And the fact that Batman started out as a crime fighter a few years before Superman isn't a completely foreign concept. The DCAU had Batman active, already having a Robin by his side by the time Clark became Superman.
Suddenly people are calling me Superman. They want to know everything about me.
Wouldn't be bad if people knew a little more about Superman. I don't want anyone thinking you're like that nut in Gotham City.
When it comes to
Hey,
casting,
yo.
certain groups of people are going to lose their minds regardless of who ends up getting the role. There's been backlash over Bruce Wayne casting choices since Michael Keaton in the '89 movie. In regard to the current DCU situation, some of the points of contention revolve around potential audience confusion with casting another actor, which I find kinda hilarious, especially after the wave of movies released with actors playing multiple versions of the same character. I feel like you're not giving the general audience enough credit if you think there's going to be a monumental struggle to comprehend that a Batman who looks different
I
as a
think that shit
supporting
is
cast of
so
crime-fighting allies
dumb.
and
That shit
fights
is so
fantastical
dumb.
threats is different from another version that focuses more on noir detective elements, faces no fantastical threats, and is earlier in his career. The
Yes.
Batman released a year before the Flash movie, and yet I don't recall
dude, we could have best of both worlds. Come on. Why not? Like, fans want that. Why do they think fans don't want that?
any mass audience confusion with Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton coming back. It's not quantum physics.
Yeah.
Do you think audiences, do you ever think about like, oh, our audience is going to follow that there are two separate Batman stories going on?
Big fans are often like, well, listen, I understand this, but normies will never understand this. Casuals will never understand this. But the truth is, guys, that you're the ones that don't understand. The casuals always understand. You can say, oh yeah, he's changed Peacemaker. Yeah, they were, there was some Justice Gang or Justice League was in that. Now it's the Justice Gang, and regular people who just like TV shows are like, oh, okay, that's weird, and then they're done. But
That's
the people
it,
who
yeah.
really focus on this stuff
We
and
live
go
in a
crazy
bubble.
are
Yeah, we live in a
they're
bubble.
in our bubble.
Yeah.
And the people in our bubble think that everyone outside of that bubble is too stupid to understand nuance.
Like, dude.
And it is just totally not the case.
But they shouldn't even bother trying to find another actor
Exactly.
because they'll never find anyone as good as Robert Pattinson.
Just let it go.
When it comes to comic book characters and superheroes specifically, I've never subscribed to the idea that nobody can play X character other than insert favorite actor. I think that's
RIP.
stupid. Why on earth are we having this mentality for a character like Batman, the guy who's had countless live action depictions since the 1940s? Even with all those iterations, much of Batman's lore has been left unexplored. Are you niggas being serious right now? Batman has the most range and versatility out of any insanely popular comic book character, to which different actors can or have interpreted those aspects distinctly. He can be malleable in different contexts while still staying true to the source material. And I don't think it's impossible to find a pretty good actor who can play the version who's more of a team player, more experienced, and placed in a more fantastical setting. I'm not trying to wait like 10 years just to see characters like Nightwing and Tim Drake. There are still plenty of elements that have yet to be explored on the big screen. It's not like Robert Pattinson is gonna disappear with the introduction of the DCU Batman actor. You're still gonna get projects helmed by Matt Reeves. You'll be fine. Also, the DCU has been pretty spot on with its casting choices thus far. David Cornsweet as Superman is honestly top tier casting. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, and Nathan
All of
Fillion
them.
as Guy Gardner are
All of
all
them.
inspired picks. For upcoming projects, the choices have been equally strong, from Millie Alcock as Supergirl to Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart. So why wouldn't that same level of energy and effort go into casting a new Batman? I'm sure they understand how imperative it is to find the right person for the role. You might have a hard
Not only that, they're gonna double down on that casting. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, come on.
time imagining someone else doing a good job of playing Batman, which is fine because you're not a casting director and won't come across a plethora of both known and unknown actors who will inevitably audition and screen test for the role. Hearing about the initiative of studio heads and creatives wanting to bring forth new interpretations of
That
iconic
shit was
characters
fire.
can
Flash.
seem a little
Look,
scary,
that
given the
shit,
success
dude.
of previous beloved versions and how they've impacted how these big players are perceived by the general.
I'm listening to him, but dude, we literally saw Michael Keaton's Batman versus a Kryptonian. My dude. My dude. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That shit was fire. And he was climbing around here like a fucking monkey and shit. Dude, that shit was fire, dog. And this scene right here too. The and then when he comes back up, he goes the cape. Come on.
And
You
won't
can tell
come
me that
across a
wasn't fire,
plethora
bro.
of both
Look
known
at that.
and unknown actors who
And-
will inevitably audition and screen test for the role. Hearing
Look,
about
look,
the
look,
initiative
look.
of studio heads and creatives wanting to bring forth new
Ignore what he's saying
interpretations
right now,
of
look.
iconic characters can seem a little scary, given the success of previous beloved versions and how they've impacted how these big players are perceived by the general.
Come on. Tell me that shit wasn't fire.
To bring forth new interpretations of iconic characters can seem a little scary, given the
Alright, listen
success
in
of
now.
previous beloved versions and how they've impacted how these big players are perceived by the general audience. There's definitely a risk in having a new Batman in a fresh universe, but I think the nature of the DCU, allowing different creatives to tell their stories and incorporate different tones, could be a recipe for something unique while also staying true to the Batman mythos. Hopefully, an actual successful attempt at a Justice League team-up will reintroduce audiences to characters that haven't received the live-action theatrical treatment in almost 30 years, and even ones who've never appeared in movies at all. This could be a good way of showcasing what aspects casual fans have been missing out on when it comes to Batman stories that more die-hard fans have been able to enjoy for a good while now.
Yo, to know one day we're gonna have the whole Bat family, and then one day we're gonna have them side by like a big like Justice like world-ending event. We're gonna have like the Bat family next to Superman, next to the fucking with the Justice League, with the Teen Titans, and all the other fucking groups in DC. I don't know my DC lore like that. I know enough. Don't get it fucked up. I know enough, but nothing like Marvel. Um, dude, I can't wait, bro. I have patience though. I could wait. Take their time. Don't rush it. Take their time. Like look at Marvel. Feel me? They literally took. We're still in. We're still what? Since '08. Why to be in 2026? In 2 years, going to be 20 years. I'm trying to say they took their time to build their stories and build up their characters in order to like do those huge events. And I could wait, bro. I could wait. Dude, I also can't wait for Swamp Thing. That's cause that's one of the main projects that he announced in 2023. Dude, I can't wait. I cannot wait. All right, let me know what y'all think. Y'all concerned? Y'all worried? Or y'all just chilling? Y'all just letting them cook up. But yeah, all right. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, and like always, my fault, like always. Deuces.